Hello everyone and welcome to Willow Cove Crafts, my channel here on YouTube where I talk about knitting and sewing and my other crafty endeavors. My name is Emily and today's video is my 2022 year in review where I talk about everything that I knit and sewed in the past year. As I mentioned, this is a recap episode of everything that I have made over the last year. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, all of these projects will look familiar. But I love these types of videos. I've never done one before, but I think it's super fun to look back over what you've accomplished in the last year and to just see that beautiful stack of handmade things. It's so satisfying. So I'm really excited to record this for you today. I am limiting this video to the projects that I finished in 2022. There was a lot of other things I worked on and started last year that have not been completed yet. So hopefully at some point I will get back to those projects, but for today, we're just gonna focus on those items that were finished. To summarize what I have completed this year and what I will be showing you today, for knitting, I have 4 finished sweaters and 2 finished accessories. And then for sewing, I have finished 2 shirts and 3 dresses. So I'll be showing all of those to you today. I'm gonna go in chronological order, so starting in January 2022 all the way through December, the things that I have finished, and that's 11 things to get through. That's kind of a lot, so I'm gonna talk about them pretty briefly, some general thoughts about them, and then I will try them on for you. For my knitted items, I did not do any sort of fresh washing or deep pilling. I really wanted to show you how they've held up over the course of the year. And so things might look a little rumpled, a little worn, but I do think that that's valuable information to have to see how things have held up over time. So I think that is enough of an introduction. Let's get started. The first thing I finished up this year was back in January, almost a year ago, and that is the Foyka Sweater. This is a pattern by Linka Neumann, and it's this beautiful, large colorwork sweater. I knit this out of Alafosslopi by Istex. The colors don't have a name, they're just numbers, so I will put those across the screen so that you have a reference, and I'll put them in the description below. But it is this lovely 3-color yoke sweater. It's got this big turtleneck, and yes, I think it's held up pretty well over the year. It's pilling a bit under the arms, but that's expected. Wool is going to pill. There's really nothing you can do about it. And I wear this a lot. I would say that this is probably my most worn sweater that I have maybe ever made. I initially made this because I wanted something that I could wear in lieu of a coat. You know, not when it's super cold, but like in the fall and spring when the temperatures are cold, but maybe a little more mild. So like the 40s, 50s, I wanted a sweater that I could wear instead of a coat. And that is what I have done. I wear this all the time. And now that it's the winter, I do wear it, you know, just as a sweater. The Alafosslopi is not the softest yarn in the world. It is quite prickly. It doesn't bother me at all. I feel like I have a really high, low sensitivity to wool. I'm not very sensitive to prickly wools. And it's just the warmest, coziest thing, and I feel like it's held up pretty nicely considering the amount that I have worn it. So that is finished object number 1. The second thing that I finished up this year, I probably finished these in February, I want to say, but I knit the Selbu Mittens by Skeindeer. Let me put them on and show you how they look on a hand. I knit these out of Rauma 3-ply Strikkegarn, I believe is what it's called. It's their DK weight yarn, and once again, these colors don't have names, so I'll put the numbers on the screen. But they are these really beautiful all over colorwork mittens. And yes, I wouldn't say I wear these a ton, mostly because I don't go outside a lot. So I have underground parking at my apartment, and then I also have underground parking at work, and work is the place I go the most. And so I'm not really outside all that often and don't need mittens. I do wear them if I go for a walk outside in the winter. I actually don't find these to be the warmest mittens, and the reason I think that is let me take one of these off. I actually think they're a little big on me. So they fit nicely in the wrist and like through the thumb area and the palm, but then up towards my fingers, I don't know if you can really tell, but like I'm able to fold over a good chunk of the mitten, and that's, you know, where my fingers are. And having all of that extra space in the mitten creates room for air to get in. I do think they would be warmer if they were a little bit smaller and snug. So something to keep in mind. I think I do have plans to make some more colorwork mittens at some point in the future, and I will maybe size down or not do as many repeats. Like you can see here, like there's the tops of my fingers and there's the top of the mitten. I probably could have omitted this whole top diamond. I don't quite know how to do that when you have this, you know, this is a full colorwork chart. Maybe I could go down a needle size about halfway up the mitten. I'll have to think on that, but I do wear them. I would make some modifications if I made similar mittens in the future. My next finished object, I also finished in February, I believe, and that is the Illuminate sweater by Andrea Mowry. I knit this out of Spincycle dyed in the wool in the rusted rainbow color. That's the color shifting color, and then I paired that with a mohair. This is the Isager silk mohair in rose, I want to say. So there's the full shot. This sweater really needs to be depilled. So this is under the arm. The Spincycle is holding up really well. I'm just really surprised at how pilly the mohair is. I was always kind of under the impression that mohair pilled less than wool. I feel like I've heard that from somewhere, like the silk content in the mohair makes it pill less. And that's kind of been my experience with my other mohair sweaters. I don't have a ton of mohair sweaters, so it's a very limited pool of experience. But I just think this pilled a ton. It pilled a lot more than I thought it would. And this is a nicer mohair, so the Isager mohair is more expensive. People love it. It's quite soft, but it just has been pilling like crazy. I'm hopeful that once I depill it the first time, maybe it will pill less in the future. Ultimately, it's not a big deal. The other kind of problem I had with this sweater was the Spincycle yarn. You can't really notice it. Like, no one's ever gonna notice unless I point it out to them, but the yellow sections in this yarn did bleed a lot when I soaked this sweater. I think I soaked it like 4 or 5 times after I first finished it, and the water was bright yellow every single time. I could not get the water to run clear, and you can kind of see maybe it did bleed onto the mohair a little bit in places. I'm trying to find a good spot. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell, but especially on the yellow spots, the mohair is just a little bit discolored. Not a big deal. I think on the whole, this sweater is just like so striking and fun. So we'll see how this one holds up over the years to come. Yeah, it's just so pilly. So something to keep in mind if you are gonna knit with this mohair. It's Pill City over here. And that brings us to, I believe I finished that at the end of February. And then at the end of February last year, I had surgery on my shoulder and neck area. And so I was cooped up on the couch, feeling a little sorry for myself, and I started all sorts of projects and didn't finish them. I feel like that was the bulk of the knitting time, where I just was like casting on things left and right and not finishing them. So you may remember from like March, April, I started a lot of stuff and worked on them for like 2 or 3 months and didn't finish any of them. So then fast forward, I believe, to the end of April, my shoulder was starting to feel a lot better, and so I wanted to do some sewing because I had not been able to sew while I was recovering from surgery. I just like could not like move my arm around. My neck was really tired all the time. So when I was able to sew again, that is what I did. And the first thing I made was this shirt. This is the Hadley top by Grainline Studio. And I sewed it out of this cotton that I purchased from JoAnn Fabrics. And I really like this fabric because the dots are raised. They feel kind of velvety on top of the cotton. And I just think it's very fresh and clean looking. I don't wear this a lot, mostly because it's no fault of the shirt. So this is a cotton and it wrinkles pretty easily, and it's fairly wrinkled after I wash it every time. So I do have to iron it before I will wear it. And I'm just really lazy in the mornings. 6:30 in the morning and I'm getting dressed. The last thing I want to do is iron a shirt. So I do think I would wear it more if I had like a little bit more like forethought and maybe ironed it the night before or ironed it as soon as it came out of the wash. And so if it was like pre-ironed and hanging in my closet, I do think I would wear it a lot more. It's also definitely more of a summer shirt, so not wearing it currently. But even in the summertime, I didn't reach for this one a lot. Again, I think it's more because of the wrinkles than anything, and I can fix that. So maybe that'll be something I try to do more this year, is to just, you know, as soon as my sewn things come out of the wash, just give them like a quick steam, a quick iron, so that they are ready in my closet, and then maybe I'll reach for them a little bit more. Just a thought. And then I was on a pretty big sewing kick in the late spring, early summer. So the next thing I finished was this dress. Obviously it's a sewn garment. This is the Magnolia Dress by Deer & O Patterns, and I sewed it out of this black floral viscose that I purchased from Pretty Mercerie. And I sewed this for a wedding. Two of my friends got married and I needed a new dress to wear to their wedding. So, and their wedding was in late May. And yeah, I also don't wear this a ton. I do really like it. It's just a little fancy for everyday wear. The sleeves, like it's got these really dramatic sleeves, and I just tend to be more of a casual dresser on a day-to-day basis, and so I don't reach for this a ton just because it's a bit too fancy for my day-to-day wardrobe. But I have worn it a couple times for like nicer occasions. You know, Dan and I do go out to some nice dinners sometimes, and I will reach for this one when we go and do fancy stuff. So yes, not an everyday item, but I am still really happy with it. This fabric is quite delicate, and so I find myself feeling very like precious about this dress because the fabric snags so easily. So yeah, I don't know how much I'll wear this outside of those fancy occasions. And it's not always the first thing I reach for because the fabric is so delicate and I feel like I'm gonna snag it on anything and everything. So, you know, it's so pretty though. I love this dress. Then in June, I had another wedding to go to, and so I made another wedding guest dress. This is the Reglisse Dress by Deer & O Patterns again. And I sewed this out of a pine green viscose I got from Pretty Mercerie again. They have so many great fabrics at that shop. And yes, once again, this dress feels very fancy. I don't grab it for my everyday wear, but I do really like to wear this one when something, you know, nicer comes up. I would say this is probably my favorite dress I've sewn this year. Something about it, I don't know if it's the color. The dress itself is quite simple. You know, the cut is very simple. Like there's nothing super dramatic happening with it. But this fabric, this color, I just feel like $1,000,000 when I wear this dress. I think it fits me really well. The gold buttons that I put on it are just so dramatic, and this is one of my favorite colors. I love a dark pine green, and I just feel I like to wear this dress with like red lipstick, and I just feel like the most powerful person in the world. So I think it's nice when our clothes make us feel that way, when you just feel really, really good in something, and this dress definitely does that for me. Next up, in I want to say like mid to late July, I finished up the Sunday sweater by PetiteKnit. There she is. I knit this out of Drops Air, I want to say in the pink marble colorway, and then held together with Drops Kid Silk in the light beige. I will fact check all of this and put it on the screen. So whatever's on the screen is accurate, but I think that's what they are. And yes, we'll do an armpit check because that's like the heaviest pill area. This one held up pretty well. I have heard that the drops yarn pills quite a bit, so I did not have high expectations for this sweater, but I do think so far it's doing pretty good. It's not super pilly. I have worn this one a handful of times. I will say, if I were to knit this sweater again, I would shorten it. I don't say that very often because I am pretty tall, and so I find that I'm often having to lengthen things. But I knit this sweater precisely to pattern, and it didn't really like even grow that much with blocking. So like these are the measurements of the sweater, and it is long. I feel like it just like kind of hangs on me. Typically I will wear it tucked in to my pants just to give it like more of a balloon look on the bottom hem. I feel like it kind of goes with the sleeves. But if I were to reknit this, I would probably take off a good 2 to 3 inches from the bottom. It's really long. I can only imagine how long it is on like an average height or shorter person, if it's that long on me. So really like this one. I love this color. And this is another sweater where I feel just like a little bit elevated in it. You know, if it's like a normal day and I'm going to work and I want to feel just like a little sassy, I'll wear this sweater. And yes, it's very soft too. Very snuggly. Then in August, I went back to sewing for a little bit and made a second version of the Reglisse Dress by Deer and Doe Patterns. This is sewn out of a cotton, I think it's a chambray, cotton chambray that I got from Mood Fabrics. I sewed this, first of all, because I liked my first version so much. And I'm always interested to see how like the same pattern translates when different fabrics are used. That first one, again, is much more fancy, like it feels very elevated. And then this one I wanted to make because I wanted more of a sundress, something that's a little bit more casual. And I sewed this because Dan and I took a vacation this summer to the south of France, and I wanted something that was, you know, nice, but also like a bit laid back, very beachy, and this definitely fit the bill. So I really like this one. I did finish it up towards the end of the summer, so I didn't get to wear it a ton, but I'm hopeful that once the weather starts getting warm again, maybe I'll get a little bit more wear out of this one. A little bit more of an everyday dress compared to the other 2 dresses that I sewed this year. So yes, hopefully this will be more of a daily staple in my summer wardrobe. In September, late August, early September, I participated in a test knit for Winter's Weather Knits. And I test knit her double date sweater. So here that is. I knit this out of Brooklyn Tweed Arbor in the main color is Hammock, and then it's Carab, Arabesque, and Degas are the 3 contrast colors. I also wear this one a lot. I was a little nervous about this sweater because as I was like getting through it, I was realizing it was very cropped. And it is, it's a pretty cropped sweater. However, I find that it hits right at the top of high-waisted jeans, and I can kind of do like a little French tuck with it. and I really enjoy it. I wear this one a ton. And this yarn is holding up really well. Armpit check. Pretty much no pills. And I would say I've worn this sweater like maybe 10 times at this point. So this yarn is proving to be pretty durable. So yes, I do think if I were to knit it again, I might lengthen it slightly, but overall, I really like that cropped boxy sweater look. And so I find a lot of enjoyment out of wearing this sweater. In October, I finished up the Oslo Hat by PetiteKnit. I will put it on for you. I knit this hat out of Woolfolk Tined in their colorways are also numbered. I want to say this is colorway 27, but I don't know if that's accurate. Again, it'll be on the screen, but it's this nice mustard yellow hat. And I really love this hat. I feel like the Oslo hat is like the perfect basic hat. I love the triple brim. I think it's very warm. And I think it has, for me at least, the perfect amount of slouch. I don't like when hats are too slouchy, and I don't like when hats are too fitted. I need like a Goldilocks hat, something right in between, and I feel like this one, it's just perfect. I love this hat. I don't wear it a ton. Again, it kind of goes back to the whole, I don't spend a ton of time outside, but when I do try to reach for this, and it keeps my noggin nice and warm. So really love this hat, and yeah, I highly recommend this pattern. It's really, really great. And then I didn't finish anything up until December because I started a kind of long-term sweater project, which I'm not going to talk about today. It's still a work in progress. But towards the end of December, my last finished object of the year was the Lark Tee. This is a pattern by Grainline Studio, and I sewed this out of a cotton jersey that I purchased from Blackbird Fabrics. You can see my cute tag. These little tags just like, they tickle me. I think they're wonderful. But anyways, I really love this shirt. In my last video, I just waxed poetic about it. It's not perfect, but it is the first time I've ever sewn with stretch fabric, and I think it turned out pretty well. And again, I'm a very casual dresser. I will wear this whenever it is clean. I've already worn it a couple times, and it's just like a basic gray t-shirt, but that is what I wear most days. And so I was just really happy with it. It's so versatile. And yes, maybe my favorite thing I made this year. I really like a lot of the things I made this year, but in terms of like usability and the amount I will use it, this is it. This is my most favorite make. It's pretty new, so I haven't worn it a ton, but I know that I will wear it a lot. So yes, really happy with that. Really happy with this, you know, kind of crossing this milestone of sewing with knit fabric. I feel like I'm going to be sewing with a ton of knit fabric this upcoming year, and yeah, it's all because of this little buddy. I feel like I grew in my confidence as a sewist a lot in making this t-shirt. And I think for that reason, it might be my favorite thing I made this year. And that is everything I finished in 2022. To close us out today, I did want to talk a little bit about my 2023 making goals and plans. I have this like interesting like dichotomy going on. I think that's the right word, of like flexibility and rigidity. Let me explain. So I don't have like really any like hard and fast goals or plans for this year. Just more like conceptually, I have some ideas of what I would like to do this year or how I would like to conduct my making. So first, let's talk about the more strict part. So as I mentioned, I worked on a lot of stuff this year that I didn't finish. And if you've been watching my whip series, you'll know that I have a lot of unfinished projects. And that like really stems from the fact that I really like to cast on projects or start projects and not finish them. And so my first goal for the new year, and I feel like this is my goal every year, but I'm like feeling really confident now this year, is to like actually finish the things that I start. When I do my recap next year, I'm really hoping that I can sit down and look at all these things I made and not have anything that I started and didn't finish. I think I went and counted. I may have started like 10 other projects this year. Ooh, what is my answer? Somewhere between 10 and 15 other projects this year that obviously I didn't show you today because I didn't finish them. And so really like reining that in and like seeing things to completion and finishing up my projects, that is goal number one. And I want to be like really strict with myself and just like, you know, keep my works in progress to a minimum, finish them out. And then hopefully at the end of next year, I'll have more things because I'll have actually finished the stuff I have started. The other side to all of this is the flexibility piece. And what I mean by that is I do not have a list of projects that I want to make this year. I saw this quote on Instagram. I'm gonna try and put like a picture of it here so that you can see, you know, I want to cite my sources and give credit to the person that posted it. But it was essentially along the lines of not saving your precious things. We have this, or at least I do, and I know a lot of people do, have this tendency to save our special items. You know, we'll save our nice candles, we'll save our nice notebooks. And, you know, for us as makers, we'll save our nice yarn, we'll save our nice fabric. Or like we'll feel like we need to earn something, like, oh, I need to finish this old project before I cast on this new project that I really, you know, I really want to be working on this new project, but I feel like, oh, like maybe I need to like work on a gift knit, or I need to finish something up, or, you know, we kind of, you know, bargain with ourselves and, you know, make deals with ourselves. And I think it prevents us from working on the things that we like really, really want to be working on. And this quote is essentially about, you know, it's about New Year's resolutions and how the best resolution this woman ever made, I'm assuming it's a woman, it could just be a person, but you know, the best resolution that this person ever made was to stop saving those things and to just let her current present self use them. And just like how much joy that can bring if you just let yourself use your nice things and use your precious things. And it's like, what are we saving them for? Like, you know, life is short, life is precious, and we should allow our present selves to enjoy our nice things. And that quote just really resonated with me. I loved that idea. And so in terms of my making, Again, I want to finish my things. If I start something, I want to finish it. That's the rigid part to all of this. But then when it comes time to starting a new project, I want to allow myself to start whatever it is at that point in time that is just like calling to my heart the most. Like, what is that thing that I like really, really want to knit? Or what is that yarn that I really, really want to work with? And so for that reason, I don't have a list of projects that I want to complete this year. I just want to like go with the flow and like really tune in to like, what is my like heart's desire at this particular point in time, and start that thing. So, and then finish that thing. Again, I do need to put some constraints on myself. I don't want to just be like casting on willy-nilly, because that has gotten me a huge pile of unfinished things. But like finishing things, but again, like finishing them knowing that when the time comes to start a new project, I get to work on whatever I want. And those are my goals. And that's how I'm gonna approach this year. So yeah. Anyways, that is it for the video this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, leave it a comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to be notified when I post my next video. And yes, thank you all for watching. Have a happy new year, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye, everyone.